To continue off with my crossover fever after making that video of my favorite crossovers, which I'm happy to do on a separate occasion, today I want to talk about a little bit more of a specific crossover event that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet, despite some technicalities. We'll go over that in a second, but that's of course Mario and Sonic. Yeah, a Mario and Sonic crossover game has never happened yet, and it's pretty shocking because these are two IPs that are honestly the most iconic in all of video game history, and as far as I'm aware in terms of their actual crossover events, it's Smash with Brawl, Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, and of course the Olympic Games. Both of these IPs starting at around 2008, where Sonic introduced himself to the world of Smash with Brawl, and then of course the Olympic Games moving forward. But much like how I said in the beginning, like literally a couple of seconds ago, I mentioned that these are more technical stuff. These are all technicalities in the sense that they're not a self-contained crossover event. It's not self-contained in the sense of like it's just Mario characters and it's just Sonic characters. Yes, with Mario and Sonic in the Olympic Games, that is the case, but that's tied to a outside world marketing scheme in the sense of like, hey, we got the Olympic Games coming up. What is Mario and Sonic gonna do to promote this upcoming winter game in 2000 and so? It's more of like promotion. It's more for, marketing the Olympic Games and all of its real world events and all that kind of stuff. But in regards to a proper crossover, that has yet to happen. And so today I kind of want to lay down some short, sweet, and really cool thoughts in terms of this potential crossover because I believe it is time for one. I think for 2024, maybe moving forward, it is time to kind of consider these options for both Sega and Nintendo, especially considering the fact that they've been buddies since Nintendo helped those guys out in the early 2000s. That's why we have Sonic Advance in the GBA. That's why we have the Rush games. That's why we got Adventure DX and Adventure 2 Battle ported over on the GameCube. Nintendo and Sega, they've been buddies for quite the past 24 years, give or take. And so for a proper crossover, naturally they want to, work together and harmonize in the sense of allowing Sonic to flourish and of course Mario to flourish as well. And so in my case here, the best bet is to lay down a particular genre for both of these characters to dive into and sort of lean on both of their aesthetics and styles and complement each other into one aspect. Something that a lot of people probably have already witnessed if you've taken the time to play these games. We've witnessed this with Mario and Rabbids. We have two completely different IPs, a platformer like Mario and a party style, whatever the hell the Rabbids are nowadays. They were, combined together to create this rather amazing tactical RPG action adventure game that got a sequel later on. So something like that where you isolate all the characters that you need for this particular crossover game, you throw them all together and you create something that's truly unique. What would both platformers gain in terms of creating, let's say, a RPG style crossover like a Mario and Luigi, despite the fact that Alpha Dream is sadly dead, but something along those lines, or perhaps an action adventure game like what Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was trying to do, but ultimately failed because of Sega deadlines and also the fact that it was the Wii U, but something like that is what I'm trying to stress here. So that's more or less one general idea of how the crossover between Mario and Sonic could be like. I kind of would like a more RPG style game. I think it would benefit everybody, especially since they did dip their toes into the RPG setting with Mario and Luigi, like I stressed before, and Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. So this RPG crossover could really help a lot in kind of helping Sonic's side of things, of demonstrating that, hey, Sonic can have an RPG game that's actually good and well thought out, and with the help of Mario, we can make that come true. Like I said, we have Mario and Luigi. Despite the fact that, like I said, also Alpha Dream is no longer a thing. But then of course we have Paper Mario, we have the people who worked on that. Then of course we have Super Mario RPG that also got a remake, by the way, later last year. So we know that on the RPG side of things, there's a possibility of working together and allowing that to be a thing. And it would be really, really cool too to see Sonic actually be like a proper RPG character, because as far as I'm aware, Final Fantasy Sonic X is kind of like the main thing of what we know of how Sonic could function as an RPG character. But besides the genre, of this actual crossover. And I know a lot of people would probably in the comments down below be like, oh, but what about a platformer? That would be really cool to see, you know, Mario going through Sonic style platforming and Sonic having to do Mario style platforming. But like I said, you can kind of do that in a more action adventure kind of sense, like what Sonic Boom was trying to do, or what, like, you know, 3D Mario has done in recent years. So something like that could benefit both IPs. But in regards to the characters, the setting, all that kind of stuff, you know, let's forget the genre for a second and let's build a foundation. Like, who are the characters? What would be the setting? What would be like the composition? That's a new word, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. What would be the composition? That's what I'm trying to say, of this crossover game. And so, of course, in terms of characters, you need the showrunners. You need Mario and Sonic up in center, you know, ready to take action to fight against Eggman and Bowser. You know, clearly they're going to be the main villains, unless, you know, they somehow pull a malevolent god like Dark Gaia or something along those lines, which would also be pretty cool, by the way. Like that to be like the true final boss for this potential hypothetical crossover, that'd be nutty as hell. But obviously, you would have the heroes and then you have the villains. Princess Peach could be involved, especially how badass she has gotten over the years. Luigi, naturally. And on Sonic's side of things, you would have Tails and Knuckles. Shadow would be super cool to have. Amy would be an option as well. So Team Sonic plus Shadow would be perfect. And of course, on Mario's side, Mario, Luigi, Toad, Bowser, Peach, Daisy would be super cool. Hell, all the characters that we have in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, chuck them in this crossover. So those are the characters, that's what we have. And in terms of setting, that would be, you have to play around with the story in this case. What's pretty cool about crossovers is that they like to mesh both IPs together in a sense of like isolating them in one little corner, in a little open box that is filled with possibilities and a means to kind of create its own its own universe. You know, Marvel vs. Capcom has done that with Infinite. We can talk about how trash of a game that is, but it did a good job in isolating itself in the events of the world by confounding everything into like one little universe. And also, we can kind of consider Xenoblade to be a crossover event with Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, and all those merging together to create Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So something like that would greatly benefit Mario and Sonic in terms of this crossover, where, you know, all the things of the Mushroom Kingdom is suddenly, you know, being taken away, and all the things of Green Hill and Sonic's world is being taken away, and there's this big malevolent god that's sort of like a paradox, and he's creating his own universe with all of these, with combining the elements of these two universes, and it's up to Mario and Sonic to kind of stop the threat once and for all, because Bowser and Eggman want to use this as a means to create their Eggman Bowser Kingdom Utopia thing. So something like that as a premise would be super cool, and it would allow a lot of those iconic scenes from previous Mario games to shine, a lot of iconic moments of Sonic, and it would be like this really cool third-party-esque style of game to kind of allow all these set pieces to really function super well. But aside from that, there's so many other ideas, there's so many other cool opportunities, and like I said, I want to keep this a little short because I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. What would be your ideal Sonic and Mario crossover? Because in my case, it's like I said, I would love an RPG style of Mario and Sonic crossover game, something akin to a Partners in Time, something akin to, you know, anything that Alpha Dream has made in the past. Something like that with Mario and Sonic would be super cool. And I think a lot of people who've made a video about this so-called Mario and Sonic crossover that they want so badly, I think they've stressed that point as much as well. So something like that would just be really cool, you know? Like, it just makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But aside from that, there's not much of a basis or a groundwork that we can work on, especially since I am rambling here. This is completely unscripted. So maybe next time, if I plan to dive into this a little bit deeper, we'll probably be a little bit more analytical. But in terms of a general sense, this is what I would like to see in a Mario and Sonic crossover. I think it's what the people want, and quite frankly, I think it's about time. You know, give us that in the Nintendo Direct, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Nintendo, I see what you're thinking. You're gonna big brain, you're gonna give this to us later this year, guaranteed.